Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Young and the Restless channel. Hope you're having a wonderful day. Before we begin, don't forget to subscribe and hit like for more daily drama updates and spoilers. Your support truly means a lot and helps our channel grow every day. Now, let's jump straight into today's exciting update. A wave of uncertainty and raw emotion will sweep through Genoa City as lives hang in the balance and long-buried feelings begin to reshape the future. The events unfolding on Tuesday, July 7th, promise to leave families shaken, relationships tested, and impossible decisions hanging heavily in the air. At the center of it all, one beloved figure will be fighting for his very life inside the walls of Genoa City Memorial Hospital, while another family faces an emotional crossroads that no one could have predicted only days before. Fear, regret, and hope will collide in ways that force every character to confront what truly matters. As the tension builds from one heartbreaking moment to the next, the consequences of recent tragedies will begin spreading far beyond the hospital corridors, touching nearly every corner of Genoa City. While doctors continue monitoring Nikki Newman after her frightening medical ordeal, a surprising change of heart begins taking shape inside Victor Newman. Not long ago, Victor had been unwavering in his decision, making it painfully clear that Nikki was no longer welcome at the Newman Ranch. His words had carried all the force and finality that only Victor Newman could deliver, leaving Nikki to accept a painful reality she never imagined she would face. But everything changed the moment her health was suddenly placed in jeopardy. Watching the woman he has loved for so many years face such uncertainty became a powerful wake-up call, reminding him that pride, anger, and old conflicts mean very little when the person you cherish could lose everything in an instant. The terrifying possibility of losing Nikki has stripped away layers of stubbornness, replacing them with a desperate need to protect her before it's too late. Now, as Nikki's physician prepares to release her from the hospital, Victor reaches a decision that could completely alter her next chapter. Instead of allowing her to continue living elsewhere, he insists that she return home to the Newman Ranch. The proposal comes as a genuine shock because it directly contradicts everything he had insisted upon before. Nikki can hardly believe what she's hearing after being pushed away so firmly, and she immediately recognizes that Victor's sudden generosity has been born from fear rather than convenience. Although part of her understands the sincerity behind his concern, another part refuses to become an object of sympathy. Nikki has always carried herself with remarkable strength and dignity, and the last thing she wants is to feel like she's returning home simply because Victor pities her current condition. Victor, however, refuses to frame the situation as an emotional favor. In his mind, this is simply the most practical solution available. Nikki's eyesight remains uncertain, and no one can confidently predict when, or even if, her vision will fully recover. Until those answers become clearer, Victor believes she needs to remain somewhere familiar, surrounded by people who can help her navigate every challenge she now faces. The Newman Ranch offers exactly that sense of security. Every hallway, every staircase, every room has become second nature to Nikki over countless years, allowing her to move through the home almost instinctively, despite the frightening limitations imposed by her vision. The alternative, trying to find her way back and forth to a suite at the Genoa City Athletic Club every evening, would only increase the risks and make an already difficult recovery even more exhausting. The emotional struggle between them quietly unfolds beneath every word. Nikki does not want to surrender her independence or appear vulnerable, especially after everything that has happened between them. Victor, meanwhile, is no longer interested in winning arguments or proving himself right. His only priority is making sure the woman he loves remains safe, even if that means swallowing his pride and asking her to trust him once again. Their complicated history lingers in every glance they exchange, reminding both of them how much damage has been done and how much healing still lies ahead. Yet beneath the pain, there remains an undeniable bond that refuses to disappear. and that connection slowly begins guiding them toward a fragile reconciliation. Although Nikki initially resists Victor's proposal, his determination gradually becomes impossible to ignore. He refuses to let her face this frightening period of uncertainty alone, standing firm with the quiet conviction that family should come first during moments like these. His persistence isn't driven by control this time, but by genuine fear of what could happen if she isn't properly cared for. The emotional walls between them begin showing the smallest cracks as Nikki realizes his concern is heartfelt rather than manipulative. In the days ahead, she will ultimately agree to Victor's plan, returning to the Newman Ranch where her recovery can continue under the watchful eyes of the people who care about her most. It may not erase the pain of the past, but it marks the beginning of a new chapter neither of them expected. Elsewhere, however, another battle is unfolding, one far more desperate and terrifying. Jack Abbott's life hangs by the thinnest of threads as he is rushed into Genoa City Memorial Hospital after suffering a devastating stab wound. The frantic atmosphere inside the emergency department is filled with urgency as doctors race against time to stabilize one of Genoa City's most respected figures. Every passing second feels unbearably precious while medical teams prepare for what will likely become emergency surgery. Family members and loved ones can do nothing but wait outside, trapped in agonizing uncertainty as they pray for even the smallest sign of hope. The outcome remains painfully unclear, and Jack's struggle for survival quickly becomes the emotional center of everyone's fears. The shocking attack carried out by Patty Williams has left devastation in its wake. But Patty refuses to accept responsibility for the horrifying violence she unleashed. Instead, she doubles down on an extraordinary accusation that threatens to drag another innocent person into the growing nightmare. Patty insists that Diane Jenkins Abbott is actually the one responsible for everything that has happened. Rather than backing away from her unbelievable story, she becomes even more committed to convincing everyone around her that Diane should bear the blame. As Tuesday's events continue unfolding, Patty somehow manages to seize another advantage, twisting circumstances in ways that make her dangerous claims appear increasingly difficult to dismiss. Every manipulation brings Diane closer to becoming trapped inside a nightmare she never created. Complicating matters even further is the involvement of Dr. Lawrence Markham, whose account may unexpectedly strengthen Patty's version of events. His statements could create the impression that Diane abandoned his medical care and deliberately fled in order to target Jack. That possibility immediately casts an even darker shadow over Diane, placing her under intense suspicion at exactly the worst possible moment. Despite the growing pressure surrounding her, Diane refuses to surrender to the false narrative being built against her. She passionately maintains that she is completely innocent, insisting that she had nothing whatsoever to do with Jack's attack. Desperate to clear her name before the lies spiral beyond repair, she turns to Detective James Burrow, hoping he will recognize the truth hidden beneath the confusion. Yet with conflicting stories, mounting evidence, and emotions running dangerously high, the investigation becomes far more complicated than anyone anticipated, leaving the truth buried beneath layers of deception while Jack continues fighting for his life. As Jack Abbott remains caught between life and death, the atmosphere inside Genoa City Memorial Hospital grows even heavier with every passing moment. The steady rhythm of medical equipment echoes through the hallways, becoming a constant reminder that one of Genoa City's most respected men is locked in the fight of his life. Doctors work relentlessly, preparing for the emergency procedures that may be Jack's only chance of survival after suffering such a brutal stab wound. Outside the operating room, every minute stretches into an eternity for those waiting for news, as hope and fear wage a silent battle inside every anxious heart. No one dares to predict what the next update will bring, because everyone understands that the smallest change could mean the difference between life and death. The emotional weight of the tragedy spreads far beyond the hospital walls, sending shockwaves through families, friendships, and long-standing rivalries that suddenly seem insignificant compared to the terrifying possibility of losing Jack forever. While surgeons fight to save his life, another battle begins unfolding outside the operating room, a battle for the truth. Instead of expressing regret over the devastating attack, Patty Williams continues weaving a version of events that places the blame squarely on Diane Jenkins Abbott. Her accusations become increasingly calculated, as though she understands that confidence can sometimes sound more convincing than honesty. Every statement she makes is designed to shift suspicion away from herself and redirect it toward Diane, creating confusion at a time when emotions are already running dangerously high. In a crisis where facts remain incomplete and fear clouds everyone's judgment, Patty senses an opportunity to manipulate the investigation in her favor. Rather than allowing guilt to consume her, she doubles down on her deception, determined to convince others that she is merely exposing the real culprit instead of hiding her own crimes. The situation becomes even more unsettling when Dr. Lawrence Markham's observations appear to support Patty's version of events. His perspective could lead investigators to believe that Diane abruptly left his medical care, creating the impression that she deliberately disappeared before targeting Jack. Whether intentional or not, those details begin forming a narrative that casts an increasingly dark shadow over Diane's innocence. As whispers spread through Genoa City, the evidence starts appearing more complicated than anyone expected, making it harder to separate coincidence from criminal intent. Every new piece of information seems to deepen the mystery instead of solving it, leaving investigators with more questions than answers. The truth becomes buried beneath conflicting stories, misunderstood circumstances, and carefully planted suspicion, making the road to justice far more difficult than anyone imagined. For Diane, the nightmare grows more intense with every accusation thrown her way. She refuses to allow Patty's lies to define her, standing firm despite the overwhelming pressure building around her from every direction. Her voice remains steady as she insists that she had absolutely nothing to do with Jack's stabbing. Even as doubt begins creeping into the minds of those desperately searching for someone to blame. She knows that simply proclaiming her innocence will not be enough, especially when appearances seem to be working against her. That realization forces her to place her faith in Detective James Burrow, hoping he will look beyond the surface and uncover what truly happened. Diane believes the facts will eventually expose Patty's manipulation, but she also understands that every hour the investigation remains unresolved gives those lies more time to take root. Detective James Burrow now finds himself standing at the center of an investigation filled with contradictions, emotional testimony, and incomplete evidence. He listens carefully as Diane passionately maintains her innocence, refusing to back away from her story despite the enormous pressure surrounding her. At the same time, Patty's relentless accusations and Dr. Markham's account create enough uncertainty to prevent the case from moving in a straightforward direction. Rather than rushing toward a conclusion, Burrow realizes that every lead must be examined with extraordinary care, because the truth may be hiding beneath layers of manipulation and misunderstanding. The investigation quickly evolves into a tangled puzzle where every answer seems to create two new questions. Until the facts can be fully uncovered, no one can say with certainty who will ultimately be vindicated and who will finally face justice. As these parallel stories unfold, Genoa City finds itself suspended between hope and heartbreak. At the Newman Ranch, Victor's unexpected decision to bring Nikki home signals a rare moment of compassion, born from the frightening realization that life can change in an instant. Their painful past has not disappeared, but the crisis has reminded them that love can sometimes survive even the deepest wounds when people choose forgiveness over pride. Meanwhile, across town, Jack's desperate struggle for survival continues to dominate everyone's thoughts, while Diane fights just as fiercely to protect her reputation and prove that she is not the villain Patty wants the world to believe she is. The emotional stakes continue rising with every passing hour, ensuring that no decision, no revelation, and no twist will come without lasting consequences. By the time Tuesday's dramatic chapter reaches its conclusion, one thing will be painfully clear. The battle for Jack's life is only the beginning. Victor and Nikki's future has taken an unexpected turn, and the search for the truth behind Patty's shocking attack is far from over, leaving Genoa City bracing for even greater emotional storms still waiting on the horizon.